So we have our weather navigation. You can see that we haven't used it anywhere. So how do we use that? Well, we have to go to our main activity. This is where everything is called per se. All right, so in our main activity here, I'm going to restructure a few things. First of all, I'm going to get rid of all of this. And because now we got rid of that, that means our greetings is going to go away, which is okay, because that's just boilerplate code that we don't want. Okay, so first I'm going to structure this a little bit different. I'm going to create a function here. Actually, let's make this a composable first. And then let's call this weather app, like that. And what I'm going to do is, let's get rid of all of that. In fact, let me get all of this out here. Okay, very good. And I'm going to make it the surface here. I'm going to pass a modifier. And then I'm going to say fill max width. And if I want to kill two birds with one stone, I know that's a very rough wording, but it works, meaning that I want to just say fill max size, which will take care of everything, height and width. Okay, there we go. So now we are saying the whole surface is going to take up the entire space of the screen. All right, so inside here now, I'm going to create a column. Okay, and I'm going to say vertical arrangement. I'm going to say arrangement center. And let's say horizontal alignment. I'm going to say alignment center horizontal, like that. And here is where I'm going to call this other composable called weather navigation, which we created, which is which one? This guy here. So what we're doing now is that the moment we call weather app, which we're not calling anywhere, yes, we're going to call it here, weather app as such. So the moment we call weather app will know that, okay, it's going to call the weather forecast theme, passing the surface and everything we've done there. And then most importantly, then it's going to set up our weather navigation. And we know that our weather navigation has the nav controller, in this case, the remember nav controller. It has nav host. And at this point, we only have one composable, which is the splash screen. And it knows, the nav host, I should say, it knows where to start. It knows that we start at the splash screen. And of course, the composable is called, and then we should see the splash screen. This is how we set up our navigation in our app. Now, it's important to start with the navigation because everything else comes after that, in my opinion, right? Instead of building out the entire application with no navigation, I like to start with the navigation first so that it's much easier because we can start adding all of the other screens as we go through, right? Instead of our nav host, we only have one composable here, one screen, right? One destination, if you will. But obviously, we're going to add more destinations later because we've created a few screens here. We have main screen, about screen, and so forth. Okay. Very well. Now, moment of truth. Let's go ahead and run this app real quick. Hopefully, we can see something working. Okay, let's run. Now, remember, I do have an actual device that is running. In your case, you would have an emulator and so forth, but I have a device which will be prompt to work in a second here. And if all goes well on your emulator or on your device, you'll see we have our splash screen. That means then our navigation works. Congratulations if you got to this point. Now, if you're not, if you're having problems, remember you have to follow exactly what we did before. Number one, you have to make sure that we have all the dependencies we created, or I showed you earlier how to put it together. And you know where to go to get all that information. Go to the GitHub, the repo that I've shown you earlier. That's very, very important. Otherwise, unfortunately, things are not going to work. And then follow exactly what I did by creating, of course, the nav controller. In this case, the weather navigation. And make sure we're passing the starting point and so forth. Okay, that's very important. Okay, so we're making real good progress. Obviously, this is not what we want. What we want to happen is we want to have a splash screen that looks something like this, right? Something that is a little bit more, has a little bit more pizzazz, and most importantly, we're going to add an animation so that we have that splash screen look and feel. And that's what we're going to be doing next.